feel like I'm too zoomed up in my face, but alas, I cannot be bothered to change it, so my face it is. Welcome back to today's video. I was not planning on making a video this soon, but basically I made my assumptions video and then I was like, oh my god, people have just got into uni, what a prime time to be sharing my somewhat uni knowledge with people, so here we are. So I kind of spoke to a couple of my pals, and after having like some open discussions about like university, the jump from school to uni, I kind of thought it'd be good to do like a little series on different aspects of uni. So I'm planning on doing ones, planning to do 3 or 4 different ones. So at the moment I've got one on budgeting that I'm going to be doing, one on what you should take to halls and stuff that you think you might need but you're really not going to need and be a waste of space taking, and then I'm also doing the one that you're watching at the moment, stuff that I wish that I kind of, well, not that I wish that I knew because I've already done one of those, but it's more like things that you really should know, or that will be helpful for you to know before you go to uni. They won't give you a head start because I hate that term. It's not a competition. University is not a competition. You do not need a head start on people. But anyway, I'm just anyway, my dog just fell down the steps outside, what the heck. But anyway, so this is the first of those videos. I'm planning on not making them too long, but I don't want them to be too short in the fact that they'll have no information. So we shall see. My camera's fully charged today for the first time ever, so hopefully we will not get cut out halfway through. Let me get my list. I spoke to a ton of my pals. Pals who lived at home for, well, pals who live at home for uni, pals who moved away for uni, pals who moved away to small unis, pals who moved away to big unis, just to get a whole general consensus of things that we all felt like people would be beneficial to know about before you go to uni. And actually there was a lot of stuff that I didn't even know that a lot of my pals said, and I was like, that's a really good point because I only found it out this year and I'm in 3rd year. So bear in mind there is some stuff that your uni might tell you, or your uni might not tell you, your uni might tell you, your uni might tell you, and you might not even realise they've told you. That's kind of where I was at for some of this, but we'll just dive straight in. I don't want to make people sit through this whole intro like, oh my god, how long is she going to get to the point? Anyway, that this kind of applies to a lot of unis, but don't take my word on all of them because a lot of things are uni specific, as I'll mention later on. So the one that a lot of us all said was not to waste our money on stationery, because I think when you go to uni you have this like preconceived perception of like when you're in school, like I think most high schools you don't use a laptop, you write your notes in class, you do study notes on stuff, your exam papers, you write them, etc. Everything kind of changes from a uni point of view in the sense that the majority, about 95% of people, will not make notes on paper. The majority of people do use things like laptops. Me, for example, I've not used a bit of paper since 1st year maybe, in terms of like note taking. I find it too hard to keep up with lectures just writing the notes. It's so much easier if you just have like all the PowerPoints on your laptop and you can just copy, like type quickly and make small notes. Obviously you can print out like PowerPoint slides and write on them, but to be fair, you don't need tons of stationery. You're not going to be using 50 ring binders, you're not going to be using 700 notebooks, no matter how pretty they are. You don't need 500 different gel pens and colours. And speaking of that, obviously a lot of people use things like Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, there's Excel, there's a ton of other things, and there's Microsoft OneNote, which I only started using yesterday because basically some of my friends, when we were having this conversation, were like, oh, get the Microsoft package. So basically what Microsoft does for the majority of unis around the UK is they give you like Word, PowerPoint, all of their kind of school-based things for free, as long as you have like your email, your uni email institution, etc. Your email for your institution, I don't know. Anyway, as long as you can verify you go to uni, they'll give you this. OneNote is essentially like a note-taking app. I find it really helpful for me already. I've only been making notes for my dissertation like yesterday and today, but I've been on it quite a lot. For me, for example, this is my OneNote. You can't really, oh, yeah, I've got really small handwriting, hence why it's so small. But this is my OneNote. It is essentially, I don't even know how you describe it. You can organise things into different sectors and all that. It's good for taking notes on like iPads because you can write with a pen, and it's good for like laptops, and they all share between each other and you can share them with other people's class. Anyway, so speaking of like all the different like software and stuff, you will find, and I think this is a mistake I've already seen some people putting on like the freshers pages, is saying, hey, what books shall I buy for this topic? Is anyone selling them? Please do not stress yourself out about buying books before you even arrive. A lot of the times the books on the reading list that they give you especially in first year, you only need one paragraph out of the whole book for the entire year. Do not go around buying books that you do not need. If you do not know what books you need, do not buy anything at all. Wait until your induction days. You're at first lecture, they'll talk about the books you need, they'll talk about the textbooks you like have to have, they'll talk about ones they recommend. Unless they say you absolutely have to have the book, you don't need to buy it. The university, especially, I know mine does anyway, usually have the textbooks needed in the library. You can rent them, you can borrow them, you can read the one paragraph you need to read as long as you pre-plan just in case someone else has got it out. Go to the library first and check if it is there, and if it's not in the library, check if you can get it as an ebook on Amazon, because you can always get those refunded by Amazon sometimes. I don't really know the technicalities of that, but one of my pals said it. Check if it's on Google Scholar, check if it's on any of the academic websites if you give it a search. And sometimes if you have friends who go to different unis, they have access to certain websites you might not have access to. So if you really need to, and I don't think this is recommended, but if you need to, ask to use their login and look at the book if it's only a paragraph or two you need. There's no point you wasting tons of money in books that you're only going to open once. I've bought books in first year that I don't think I even opened once, maybe twice. So just be aware of that. Don't just go and buy every single book related to your topic. For example, I remember people in first year didn't know what modules we were doing, so just bought tons of law books that we don't even cover in the Scottish law curriculum. One of my pals actually said this: you can take coffee to uni, it works to save you a bit of money from buying coffee, but the best advice is probably, even if you think the lid on your flask is screwed on, is to not put it in your bag unless you're 100% sure, because even if you think your coffee flask is 100% foolproof, there will be a day when you spill that coffee in your bag. It's happened to everyone I know. If you've got electronics in your bag, it's not the best, and even if you're using paper notes, it also ruins them. So just be aware of that. Like if you're carrying hot drinks or just even water and stuff, just make sure the lids are always on. Don't just put them in your bag in a hurry. One of my pals also said to bring tissues because of that, but also because sometimes people, like, desks might get a stain on it, you might spill stuff, you never know what happens. And if you want to cry, this sounds really stupid, people make fun, people laugh like, oh, uni kids crying. If you do want to go to the library toilets and have a cry, tissues are a go. But we're just going to move on from that before things get emotional. Also bring your chargers. I cannot stress the amount of times I'd be sitting in a lecture, my laptop was like 10% left, and I was like, what do you mean 10% left? I charged you this morning. If you're only planning on staying in uni an hour, obviously you don't need to, but if you're planning on being in uni the whole day, it's best to bring a charger. Always take a pen with you to your lectures, even in your first week, and even if you're planning on only using your laptop, there tends to be things like paper registers, but not so much in lectures because a lot of lectures aren't prescribed, but it's definitely in seminars, and you'll never know when you need to like scribble something down, like a student number or anything that you can't do on your laptop. So just visit the university and the city. You want to be comfortable going between the city and campus, and that helps if you've done it before you even arrive once or twice. If you can't do that, that's completely fine, like you're not at a setback or whatever. But if you want to visit, if you want to get a great vibe of that overall uni, you want to go to the city that you'll be going to when you're at that uni, because you're not going to spend all your time in uni. Someone I know said they wish they had more life experience before going to uni, so that's not necessarily like taking a gap year or anything, but a lot of people do feel pressure to go to uni. Just maybe like what someone else, this kind of links into what my other friend said, life experience wise is things like cooking, it's things like communication, it's things like doing your laundry. If you even help out around the house for the last few weeks before you go to uni, ask your mum or your dad to show you how to make a meal. If you can't ask your mum and a dad how to show you how to make a meal, YouTube it. Look up small ideas for student breakfast, student lunch. Beans on toast, learn how to make that. Like fry an egg, learn how to do the really basic things. No one expects you to turn up to uni and cook a 5-star Michelin restaurant meal. No one expects that. Learn how to make at least 1 or 2 meals that you can make so easy. There's a lot of people who go to uni not knowing how to cook anything, and if you can't eat or look after yourself, it's really going to go downhill for you. So just make sure you know how to make something, even if it's like a cheese toasty. Make sure you have everything you need for move-in day. So my uni required us to bring like a couple of sheets of things, like filled out and signed for moving in, just to make the process all smoother, because you've got, obviously it won't be the same today, they have said they're phasing people moving into halls because of coronavirus, but at the time we were having like the whole building moving at once. So it's very much like just be organised with what you need to give to people when you move in, to get your keys, etc. That also applies for like induction days, like later on when the uni actually starts. Make sure you have everything you need for your first like lectures. Like bring your laptop, bring your notepad, whatever you want to do. Make sure you've got pen, pencil, etc. You don't need a huge pencil case. Once you've got like access to your uni's like email and stuff, you should be able, I feel like you can maybe do it before you even go to uni. You should be able to get onto things like uni days, student beans. Those are going to save you so much money. I'll talk about it more in a budgeting video, but they will save you a lot of money and get you some great deals that are only available to uni students. I'd really recommend that. If you're lucky enough to see who your flatmates are before you go, do not make assumptions of them based on social media. As you'll see by my assumptions video, I did a bit about that. A lot of us did, and it was a bit chaotic. If you're moving into halls, make a list of what you're bringing, and I'm doing a video next week, the end of this week at some point soon. It'll be up after this one anyway. A video about things that you should bring and things you really don't need to bring, even if you think you do need to bring. An iron is a controversial topic, and that's one of the things I'll talk about then. The second you get your timetable, make a note of it, print it off, or write it down your phone. Make sure you know the room and the time of your class. If your classes are online, which a lot of unis are doing with this new blended learning approach coming this September, make sure you know what time and how to get on to your lectures. Well, this can kind of go both ways. If you're moving into halls, I'd really recommend just chilling with your flatmates, sit in the kitchen, go to the communal spaces. Don't spend all your time locked in your room. I know like people can get anxious around new people, I can as well, but it is good just to throw yourself head in first sometimes. And this goes for people who are commuting as well. Make friends on your course. Try and make friends on your course that first day. They, not always, but a lot of the time they tend to be the people you'll stick with. Don't be scared to ask your lecturers questions if you do need help. They're always there. Be polite in your emails. I know obviously on the internet there's a lot of jokes like, oh, I emailed my professor and they replied back lol. A lot of university professors aren't like that. Some are, but some are really not. Some do not appreciate people emailing them informally. Some people, I've had some lecturers in my course that only want us to email them formally, like dear ma'am, how are you? And I've got some lecturers in my course that are like, lol, what's up? But always ask a question, always reach out if you need help. The worst they can do is tell you that they don't know the answer either. You won't always get good grades from the get-go. This is something I feel like me and my friends kicked ourselves for a while about. Some people, obviously, they're head straight in the game straight away, they get great grades all the time. It is unfair to expect yourself to be rivaling what if you got good marks at school, you won't necessarily get great marks at uni. Uni is a different ballgame, it's a different subject, it's a whole other level. Do not expect yourself to be cracking out 95% on essays when you've never done the referencing before, you've never done like a university essay before. Don't be hard on yourself is what I'm saying. Like, that's the one thing that me and my pals say all the time, is you can't be hard on yourself when you've never done something before. On that note as well, no one cares about your high school grades anymore. If you're ashamed of what you got in high school but you still made it to uni, you still made it to uni. No one cared if you failed everything and got in on like sheer luck. No one cared if you applied through clearing like last minute. No one cared if you didn't apply for clearing, because you're all in the same spot. Someone could have had triple like the grades that you had, but they're still in the same spot as you. Your high school grades do not matter when you get to university. The second you start university, your high school grades pretty much, no one mentions them again. I don't think I've spoken about mine ever. I don't even know what half my friends got. You will find it easier to make friends at uni, I'd say, than you would necessarily do in school, just simply because everyone's in the same situation. One thing I will say is do not get yourself stressed about things in the first week. In a lot of universities, I don't know necessarily about English universities, but certainly in a lot of Scottish universities, first year does not count towards your classification grade. At my uni, for example, it's only third and fourth year that count. That doesn't mean to say that you don't try, but it just means that it's not the end of the world if something doesn't go exactly the way you wanted it to. So yeah, this is just the kind of things that you might want to know before you actually go to uni, things that might help you. And I'll have my other 2 videos up next week, maybe 3 if I can think of something else to do, but I probably won't. But I will see you soon and have a nice day.